So welcome to Word Value, the podcast that explores the profound impacts of words on a life, language, and cultures. So I'm Don, your host, and an enthusiastic person, and I'm thrilled to embark on this journey with our special guest. Can you introduce yourself?
Yes, thank you, Don, for inviting me.
Yeah.
Thank you for the umbrella. My name is Aldi. So I'm studying here at Audencia Business School. We are in Nantes, in France. I'm studying food and agribusiness management.
Yeah.
I was born and raised in Argentina, but I identify as bicultural because my whole family is from Spain.
Yeah.
And this Sunday I'm leaving Nantes.
Oh.
Yeah, so sad.
Well, it's okay. I mean, life comes and goes. So, but you're living in Nang in what day?
I leave on Sunday.
Okay, so a few days after this. The end of this weekend,
Yes.
exactly. We'll broadcast somewhere like around Nang, but next to the university. So, let's just get back to our podcast. So, our concept is we have a bunch of, random topic that related with our podcast theme. You are not able to kind of see it, but you're able to pick just one from the glass bowl, and then we'll talk about it from the rest of the podcast. Yeah.
Okay, should I grab it now?
Exactly.
All right.
Sorry. It's
No, I love the material, props. Yeah. Okay.
You might have to cover your face.
Oh, sorry.
Don't worry.
Okay, I grabbed one.
Yeah, I'll read for you.
Okay.
Collectivism versus individualism. We talk about this in the class a lot. And the back war. We just choose one, which is collectivism and individualism, right?
I do prefer that one. Yes.
Exactly.
If it's possible.
Yeah, the other one was so by this topic, can you give like a definition of collectivism based on your personal experience and
Right.
knowledge?
Yeah, because I'm not an expert on this at all. All I know about collectivism versus individualism is what I have been taught in school, and how, normally you have countries where the culture is more collectivist and other countries where culture is more individualist.
Yeah.
Usually they will say the US is where individualism reigns, and then collectivism, I suppose, is more present. I would expect it to be more present in communist countries.
Yeah.
On a personal note, I think I am more of an individualist because I do believe that it is human nature to be selfish.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean that you have to be proud of being selfish.
Yeah.
But I think it's good to be real with oneself and recognize how we are. Because if you don't recognize how you are, you will never change. You will never act differently to your own nature and to your own tendencies.
Exactly. I think before we jump up with whatever that related with the challenges and obstacle on both sides, of course, if you choose yourself to be collectivism or individualism, there's always pros and cons, right? But then it's your choice and journeys of life, which direction that you wanted to go. So like you said, collectivism is more about group thing, community. So your decision has to be approval by other people's decision, right? So it's just a definition that I actually understand. But then individualism is yourself first, right? I think it's very trigger to say is it selfish or is it selfless, because actually I wanted to do it for myself. It doesn't mean that I wanted to be selfish. I just wanted to consider my priority on myself first, right? Yeah. So by saying that you're more about individualism, right? What was the reason or the root cause of yourself kind of believing in yourself as an individualist?
So, I think, of course, it has to be in a big proportion caused by the way I was brought up, my own culture, from the West. I think it's the Western thinking to be a bit more selfish. I also think that I do happen to believe that when each individual focuses on their own interests, I believe that the result is in the interest of the collective. I do think that if all of us focus on what's best for us, in the end, we will be achieving what is best for all of us. Because what we are in the end is the sum of a lot of different individuals.
Exactly.
So our collective interest should be the sum of our individual interests. Of course, it's debatable. Of course, there are instances in which your personal interest has a conflict with the general interest of the population.
Exactly, yeah.
But I think in the long run, what you want for yourself is good for what the society should achieve as a whole.
Yeah, for sure. But it's depend on actually the location or the place that you live too. For example, if you move to Japan, as an example, as what I know, maybe you have known the same thing of a perspective of Japan. The people would describe themselves as collectivism, which they believe on, work together as a team, and they value the effective way of valuing the group, like voting on something that they believe for. For example, I wanted A, but your team, 80% of your team was voting on B, then you have no choice to follow the B, right? So that was one thing. So for you, for example, you end up in the next country, for example, Brazil. I don't know, in Brazil, is it collectivism or individualism? How can you prepare yourself in that direction that related with our topic?
I guess it has to do with the question of how much is it best for you to adapt to your surroundings.
Yes.
When you go somewhere new, somewhere where potentially people work differently, and behave differently, how much of you will you give up in order to have a seamless experience and fit in and work well with them?
Yeah.
For me, you will never stop being yourself. And you shouldn't stop being yourself.
Exactly.
Because also what you bring to the table is your own uniqueness and your differences with the people from that place.
Yeah.
Of course, if I end up in Brazil and I realize that for every single thing you have to agree with everyone, I will be frustrated. I am the kind of person who is like, I don't know, let's say a group of friends wants to go to Egypt and the other group, people from the same group want to go somewhere else.
Yeah.
I am the kind of person who will say, okay, let's have two groups. I do that. Maybe not for a whole trip, but if there are, different plans, I think like, okay, because I think
it's getting personal now.
I know it's getting personal, but this is real. This is
exactly.
me.
Preach. Preach. Sorry.
Here's the thing: you can either have half of the group be half happy, half unhappy, having to sort of say, okay, it's fine.
Yeah.
For in the interest of the majority, I'm not going to do what I want.
Exactly.
Or you can have everyone happy, with everyone doing what they want to do. Sometimes that means that you will have people that are separately doing what they want to do. And sometimes you ask yourself, do I prefer to be with these people in a place that is not my favorite? Or do I prefer to be in my favorite place without these people? And the answer is not always the same. You ask yourself, question yourself, and you make a decision. And I will never judge either choice. For me, it makes a lot of sense to say, you know what, I prefer to be on my own, but do what I really want to do.
Exactly.
I respect it. I've done that in the past. It has worked for me more often than not. And yes, people have been offended because of that, because a lot of people disagree, even, in Argentina, because it's probable that I am a bit more individualistic than the rest of the people from my country. But I manage it, it's how I live, and more often than not, people are fine with it, or they get used to it.
So we just come up with this question: how do cultural, historical, or economic factors influence the prevalence of collectivism or individualism within societies?
Absolutely, a lot, 100%. It's completely, it depends fully on the way you're brought up.
Yeah.
Yeah, like how individualistic you will be, how collectivistically you will think, will always depend on your experiences from a very young age, but also well into adulthood. You can always change, I think.
Yeah, for me, I think for me, I wouldn't say myself like, oh, actually, I'm very collectivist. Collective, yeah, or like a collectivism person, like as a group of people, or individual always. I think I would have said dependable, according to maybe the cultural, the historical, even the religion that you moved in. For example, I would be individualist in my family household because probably like you said, people, even the same family, we have different favor, perspective, standpoint. So I don't want to be fighting and then like agreeing on something, but like you said, distance yourself, whatever that make you feel peace and happy, then you choose that. But then when you go to work, you have no choice to work with people. So if I chose to be individualist, then I would have be very strange, and it could have be affecting my working ethics and with working with the people as well. Yeah, so for me, I would say it's there's no right or wrong, but if, for example, I said I think you answer with the personal self-belief, because pathways of life, you choose to be individualist. It doesn't mean it's wrong or it's right, but it's your life. So I think people that would listen probably like can actually, you know, analyze their self-being. Sometimes you don't even figure it out who are the part of you. Is it collectivism or, you know, individualist? Yeah. So what are the advantage or disadvantage of being individualist, since you claim to be one?
Disadvantages, for sure, you more often than not can end up alone. It can happen that because you really want something and that is what you want, and you are committed, and sometimes you fall into this mentality of I'd rather be alone and do what I want than be with other people doing what I don't want to do. And you can find yourself alone a lot. But I think I will say this, I think it's good for human beings to learn to be alone, to exist alone, because if you don't know how to be alone, then I don't think you can then be with other people in a healthy situation.
True though, yeah.
But of course you can't, or you could, but normally human beings don't want to be alone forever.
Yeah.
We are a social animal.
Well, yeah.
That is a complete truth.
Yeah.
I don't think anyone will debate that. And then for advantages.
Yeah.
Well, you often get what you want. When you have this way of going at things, of I will do what I want to do and I will get it and I don't care about the rest. Yeah, I mean usually the power of willpower is very strong, and yeah, you can do what you want.
Yeah, I think there's a quote about this though. If you want to dream big, like by yourself, it's go very fast. But if you want to dream with a team, it can be going together. Something like with make your dream was like the greatest, or something like they kind of like forward the people with collectivism, because you know when you're going with the team, there was a long-term goal objective, like sustainability was more like sustainable. But then when it comes to like yourself, it's just only you who would, you know, follow this kind of steps. So it's go fast, it can be succeed, but then it's can be a trigger between like, oh, was it the right decision already by myself, or was, like you said, yeah, it can be both ways.
For sure, it's a lonely road.
It is.
It is.
Yeah.
But it's a choice. It's a choice, and just because more often than not you choose that path, it doesn't mean that you have to be in the same lane for every situation in your life. You can adapt. Maybe professionally you are more individualistic, but then in your personal life you can be more collectivistic, and you can accept to do other things. You know, it depends. We go through life. We're all trying.
Yeah.
You do your best. You try to live as best as you can for yourself, and I don't know if you think too much about it, and I don't know if you should think too much about it. For sure, self-reflection is needed, you know, often, but it cannot self-reflection cannot make up the whole space in your mind.
Exactly. Yeah. Like you cannot do anything too extreme. That what we're trying to say. But if you're going too deep, I mean, people who probably think about sustainability is you have to actually follow is a must. Of course, it is a must. But do you have to go too extreme? I mean, I'm not going to buy. Probably can be very sensitive to other people. I would say it. For example, I don't want to take plane. Well, it's your choice, your option. But then you're choosing train. But the meeting was at 2. But the train take you 5 hours. But the plane was just 2 hours. So yeah, it's a complicated thing that yourself have to be very flexible. Do you have any like friends or relative or people that you know who kind of believe themselves or act like they are the collectivism? They follow this kind of thing. Yeah.
I think that most people think of themselves as collectivists, but I think that very often,
Yeah.
people will think they are a way, maybe the way that is more socially acceptable,
Yeah.
the way that is more diplomatic,
Yeah.
but in day-to-day life, they actually act the complete opposite. It's very common, I understand. I'm sure I fall into that sometimes as well with other things.
Yeah.
But I prefer people who know themselves and people who can admit to how they are and stand behind it, you know? But yeah, I think people think of themselves as collectivists because they want to think that they are not selfish. They want to think that they always think about the greater good.
Yeah.
I think, as I said, we can achieve the greater good with our own personal interests.
Yes. I have to flip the glass
because
it's raining.
Shit.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry.
No,
want to-
it's not your fault. It's Mother Nature.
Yeah, but I'm holding the umbrella because
No,
I am
it's
so
fine.
individualistic.
Exactly. No, I mean no. I would say exactly. I mean, well, that was. But also, it's my choice to let you have it because I know, like, you know,
Thank you.
the whole thing. Yeah.
I'm very grateful.
Which is come up with another question as well. I know you're not a collectivist, but do you know what are the advantages or disadvantages of being collectivist?
People is the advantage because you're always dealing with other people's will, desires, and you have chosen to always try and negotiate with them and always try and find the best option for everybody.
Yeah.
I think that you gain through the experience of living life that way. You gain a lot of tools to manage people. Like you will learn how to manipulate. But if you're not individualistic, maybe you don't care because you're not going to use it. I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, basically, people's skills are achieved more when you have a collectivistic point of view.
Exactly. It's raining.
It is fully real. Should we
I think
change?
we'll move. I think probably going to the bus stop.
Yes, let's move
Okay.
to the bus stop. In the meantime,
Yes.
I can say there is this phrase that I
What are the benefit and the drawback of being a collectivist?
the benefits of being a collectivist is for sure people, having more people around you when you live your life caring and minding about what others think, and you try to always include people in your decisions, in what you do. Well, you will always be with people if that's
Yeah.
what you want. The disadvantage, one could say,
Yeah.
is also people.
Oh.
Well, because as great as people are, and as much as it's true that we are a social animal, as we've been saying, being a collectivist is hard. You have to manage so many different opinions, different perspectives, different viewpoints, and living through that, managing it, it takes, I think, a lot of energy.
Yeah.
That's why I think maybe it's more a matter of your nature. Some people are naturally more like that, or nature. Perhaps it's more nurture than
Yeah.
nature in the way they were brought up. Yeah, for me, it's not like that. For me, sure, sometimes you have to negotiate,
Yeah.
and you will never force anyone to do something they don't want to do.
Yeah.
But when you want to do something, you don't need everyone to agree with you. You can just do it. That's how I see the world.
Yeah. Well, so being individualist, do you have any kind of like, I would say inspiration, but encourage them to be aspiration by being individualist, because it's not easy just to be unique or different, or even stand up, like kind of like speak up on your own idea or perspective, especially when you're young graduate and then pursue your work career in a company. Like, do you have any kind of like experience or technique or tips to kind of giving them the motivation of being individualist if they do want it to be?
I'm not trying to get people on my team. Because I am an individualist, I don't care what other people do. I think other people can live their life however they want to, the same way that I must be able to live my life however I want to, because we don't need to agree. That's the main thing of individualism. Is to each their own, and everyone can do whatever they want to do, and the rest are not that much concerned. So I have nothing to say to people whether they want to have more of an individualistic outlook in life or more of a collectivistic outlook.
Yeah.
It's not my concern. I really do not care. And I think that's the beauty in individualism. That you do you live your life, it's fine.
Yeah.
Not trying to get people on your boat.
Then
Your
how?
boat is your own.
Okay.
You are the captain of your own boat.
Yeah. But also, if your boat is torn, then what's going?
That's the thing. That's why sometimes you do need people.
See? Yeah.
As I said, it is the disadvantage of individualism, that
Yeah.
it is a lonely road. Yeah. So you have to manage it. You have to find ways to live your own life. But yeah, you do need people as a human being. But I don't think you can let people take control of your life.
Yeah. So how can you kind of like merge or harmonize between people who stands on being individualist and the people who being collectivists work together well or effectively, because they may accidentally or economically they have to work together at some point, but the work has to be done because it's important for both sides. Yeah.
It's true that frustrations will arise from both different types of people. Every situation is different. Also, we are painting it in a black or white reality that is not true. That's not how it actually works. But it's the same with anything. When you have to work with people that you're very different to and you disagree a lot, maybe you have to be patient. Have to try and place yourself in their shoes to try and understand what they are seeing in the situation. Maybe they're seeing something that you're not able to see, or they are experiencing this situation in a different way than you are because they have different experiences in life, so they see things differently. I think that you need empathy. You have to try to understand, and then you manage it. You have to convince people, not coerce, but convince people to do what you think is best. But you also have to listen, because sometimes other people know best. This is true.
Yeah.
This has happened to me. As an individualistic person, you think you are fine on your own, you know everything, you don't need anyone. But then someone comes in and actually, you know what, they know more than you and you need them. So yeah, you have to listen, and it's important to be humble, and probably it's more, humbleness is probably something that individualistic people need to keep in mind more than collectivistic people.
Yeah. So by saying that, have you ever experienced with working the opposite sides of your individualist, which is collectivist, and how was the experience? Can you actually tell us, but doesn't have to be static name?
Of course. Yeah, I have been particularly in academics, in groups, group work, where everybody wants to decide together on everything. Everybody wants to vote for every single detail, and you waste a lot of time. Like the amounts of time that you waste in trying to convince everyone is crazy, and it's frustrating. But again, like sometimes you have to be patient, and you have to find ways to convince people that you can do it, that what you're doing is fine. But yeah, it's hard for me to say.
Right.
It's complicated. Like I've been in a situation where I'm the only person who wants everyone to just do them, and then at the end we can look at it and see if it's fine. But everyone else wants to like have a meeting every single day to do everything together. It's very time, like it consumes a lot more time.
Yeah.
Time consuming.
So for you, you prefer doing work by yourself, or you prefer working as a group if you have a choice to choose, especially either in academic world or is it in the workplace?
I think that the instances, the contexts in which group work is needed are fewer than the instances in which group work is pushed onto us. Sometimes it's more effective, more time efficient to work on your own. But at the same time, I understand why in academics we are pushed to work more in groups, because you need to develop skills that you can only develop through group work. So that I understand and I get it. But yes, like in professional life, if I can, I'd rather do it on my own, unless it's something in which I need other people to participate, because maybe I need specific professionals from a different field, or I need to speak with someone who was there. I mean, yes, of course, you always, very often you need people, and you cannot just work completely by yourself. But I know that it takes more time to work with people.
Yeah. So I don't have any question anymore, but I would like to share this. Do you have I mean, not to share, but to ask you, do you have any great experience working with people as individualists yourself? Like a great experience as like one team, or either in your high schools, any unofficial or even official projects or group that you kind of like, oh, I learned from this a lot, and it's very easy for me to work in this team. Yeah.
Absolutely. The best thing about group work, maybe the only good thing, is that you always end up learning more than when you work on your own, because you get to learn from the others. So, well, I said always. It's not always, but very often you learn from the people that you're working with, and they mention something that you hadn't thought of, and that's amazing. That is great. And also, I believe there is this concept of synergy.
What does that mean?
The sum of the parts, it's like has more valuable, or is greater than. No, I'm sorry. Let me rephrase it. The whole is greater than the sum of the parts. So it means that you get every individual, you assign a worth to each of them, you sum it up, you get a number. You get a group with all of those individuals, but you get them together. The value that they have is higher than the sum of the individual value of each one separately.
Okay.
That's the concept of synergy, or at least that's how I understand it. And I think it's true, because when you work with other people, yes, you learn from each other and you push progress further. But yeah, it takes more time.
Yeah.
But sometimes you have to take that time to really learn. And I have had great experiences with people, learning from other people. Everybody has a different outlook and different experiences. Sometimes you think someone is a moron, but actually they know a lot about something very specific.
Yeah.
And that's great because you learn from them. So yeah, you have to. That's why humbleness is actually super important.
Right? Super.
Yeah, to keep an open mind to learn from others.
Exactly. Because sometimes you also forget that other people also have such great idea and experience as well. I'm not saying because you being ignorant. I mean, like in general, we actually forget that there are tons of people in the world where they also can be competing and also working together with you in a team at some point in your life, and you better to listen to their point of view as well. Either you agree or disagree, but it doesn't mean that their point of view is or idea is not valuable, right?
Oh yes, and even if they are morons, you can always learn how not to do things. So it's always good, to work with people. Yeah. You can learn from everyone.
So as an individualist, I stated that word a lot.
Yes.
Do you think, is it a difference between selfish and selfless? And can you give us a short example on these two terms? Yeah.
Selfish versus selfless?
Yeah.
I understand why one would think that if you're individualistic, you are more selfish, and if you are more collectivistic, you are more selfless.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's completely true. Personally, I happen to be an individualistic person who is also selfish and self-centered as well. I have met selfless people who are very independent. So I'm assuming that based on their independency and how they like to work and do things, that they are not individualistic.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry, that they are not collectivistic, yet they are selfless. So I don't know if it always goes hand in hand, selfless and collectivism, and selfishness and individualism. It probably happens in my personal case.
Okay.
But I don't know. I don't want to assume that it's a general rule.
Yeah. Do you think taking care of yourself or prioritize your own space, your own time, even your own value idea, do you think this is considered as selfish or selfless to yourself? Was it good for you, or was it considered as selfish? Not from other people's point of view, but from your own point of view, like your self-reflection.
Wait, repeat the question.
So the question is, when you want to prioritize everything about yourself, put yourself first in every situation, for your self-reflection, do you think this is considered selfish? No?
I consider that to be how all human beings are.
Okay.
I really think that is human nature. You think of yourself first, and the people you love, that is what you think of first. Of course, I understand that in parenthood, it's very common to think of your children before you think of yourself.
Yeah.
I haven't been through that.
Yeah.
But I have seen it, so I guess it's very real. I guess it's true. Maybe it's the one exception to the rule that we are all selfish in nature. Actually, in the end.
Yeah.
But yeah, except with kids.
Yeah. And also sometimes, like when you were like single without a family, without kids and everything, you have different stance point of view. Probably you care a lot about the society, the environment and everything. But then when you have kids, you kind of changing because the priority was different. So that was also a curiosity. There's also a question coming from me as well, that why do you think people were changing because of the revolutions of life? Like, why don't they stick up with something that always preach and always believe that they want it to be and expect themselves to be forever, but then it's happening and then suddenly changing by action or perspective in general?
The only thing constant in life is change. I don't know who said that, but it's true. People change, I think, all the time. your whole world can change in one day because something happens to you. Maybe that thing that happened to you is parenthood. So of course, the way you see the world, your entire thinking system can change very quickly. And then once you change the way you think, you will change the way you behave. I think that's, I don't want to say it happens all the time, but it happens. It's always happening to somebody.
Okay. All right. So I think I ran out with question now, but I always leave this question with every guest. You know, it doesn't have to be related with a topic, but what do you want to tell or to say to your like 14 or 15 years old self, like back then? Yeah, like what do you want to say to her?
Okay, so 14, 15-year-old me, hang in there. I think you think you know more than you do. You will learn a lot more from life. You should know that you are an idiot, but it's okay because all 15-year-olds are idiots, and that's part of life. That's how life works, and it has to be that way. Yeah, just be patient with life and stop and look around. Things are a lot better than they seem when you are that age, and keep doing what you're doing. I think you're doing great. Not much. I don't have really regrets or anything at all, and nothing to, I don't really have advice. I think we keep learning every day, and that's how it should be, and that is how it will always be. And I really hope that in 10 years I will say of myself, oh, what an idiot, that person in the video. That's not who I am anymore. But yeah, you have to grow, you have to learn, you have to become wiser, experience life. You have to make a lot of mistakes. Really, you have to go and try and make mistakes in order to grow, in order to progress. You cannot always play it safe. It's not a good idea. Yeah.
So what do you want to tell yourself now, though?
Myself now. Probably everything I said to my 15-year-old self. Yeah, it's just to keep going, Let life take you wherever it needs to take you. Experience life as much as you can. Don't go too fast either. Try to have fun, enjoy, and it will come, and it will be good, regardless of anything. It will be okay.
All right. And what do you expect to see yourself, or you have a vision for the next 5 years?
Yeah, I don't really plan. I don't even know where I will be this time next year. I think that another phrase I've heard a lot: every time you make a plan, God laughs in your face. So, yeah, you can plan all you want, but then you don't know what will happen. So I don't even plan that much. I don't know where I will be in 5 years. Who knows if I will be alive? I could die in the street today, tomorrow. It will be okay. You never know. So that's why you have to live the now, because the only thing that you have is this moment. So yeah, I have nothing to say to myself in the future. I think I do hope that in the future I think of myself now as stupid, because I do want to be wiser. I do want to learn more. I think that I have a lot to learn about the world still. But yeah, just I won't pretend to know exactly where I'm going, and I don't even want to know. I want life to surprise me a bit.
Okay. That's all for my questions, and thank you for joining for this little podcast. I mean, it's been a progress, and I heard your life will be going to Brazil very soon, in a few days. everything of course will be changed, but I think it should be go to the greater experience and journey. And I hope you have a lot of great new friends and people to be around and travel. And like you said, you never know. Maybe the unknown was the surprise. Then you should be grateful for. Yeah, thank you so much.